Welcome to my 30-day challenge of pushing myself beyond my comfort zone. Last night, I had been invited to present at a panel, and honestly, it was a little nerve-wracking. I got through it, and I had a really awesome time. I had the opportunity to speak about being a woman entrepreneur, and really about pushing myself in general outside my comfort zone, tackling new industries, new focus areas. It was a really awesome opportunity. And I've been thinking, the final question that they asked the panel was, what one piece of advice would you give your undergraduate self? So I was speaking with college students. And there's so much wisdom, so many bits and pieces of advice that I've received over the years that I've taken to heart. I, took a step back to think, what would be my one piece of advice? I think that we need to live our greatest story. I recently was reading a book, and the author talked about, being your own hero or heroine, living a life of excitement and passion, and being able to recount stories, anecdotes. That is the type of life that I want at the end of my days, to think back and go, I woke up every day with a blank page, and I filled it with excitement and engagement and a passion for life, for living, for accomplishments. I had met a colleague today for lunch, and I was talking about, I'd recently tried cryotherapy, and it was not necessarily planned. I'd wanted to try compression therapy. A podcast that I listened to talked about the benefits of compression therapy. I thought that might help alleviate some of my soreness from working out at the gym. And I had timing just worked out that I had some free time, and I was in the area there's a place in Center City, Philadelphia that does it. And I stopped in, and unfortunately, from the trapeze, I'm a bit bruised. So compression therapy doesn't really make sense for me right now. But they had a cryotherapy. It's one of those words. A cryotherapy, I want to call it a tank. It's not really a tank. It's just a big closet contraption that leaves your face and your neck, from neck up open. And they had a cryotherapy machine, and I thought, how often do you have a chance to experience below freezing? I'd never immersed myself in liquid nitrogen before, so what the heck? And I gave it a shot. It was cold. There was it was, if I go back to I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, a lot of it's been mental comfort zone, but I've also been doing some physical things, and I think the cryotherapy tank qualifies as pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I was reading through the waiver, and the language was something to the effect that, basically you should know what is appropriate for you. And unfortunately, I was kind of reading through going, but I've never experienced frostbite, so how am I supposed to know what frostbite feels like? And I guess you have an innate sense for when you're experiencing something that's wrong versus something that's just chilly. So I did 2 minutes in the tank, and it was an experience. And it's an anecdote. It's something fun to throw in a random conversation, because now you've just put yourself in, less than point whatever percentage of the population that have experienced cryotherapy. And of course, my colleague that I'm having this conversation with threw in that he's had extensive experience with liquid nitrogen, which ended us on a conversation around electrode guns. And it was just a fascinating conversation, one of the types of conversations that I aspire to be the focus, the center of. How many times are you in a conversation with someone and you're able to offer something that has a relevance to the topic? How many people have an anecdote to liquid nitrogen? I don't know the answer to that question. And I'm not here to debate the answer to that question. My point is, explore, push your boundaries, because on the other side is fun stories. It's ways to connect with people. It's ways to differentiate yourself. The ability to take risks, to get in front of a group of people, to speak, to stand up, to stand out. It can be scary, but the more you do it, the more you make it a habit, the less it's something that's frightening, and the more it's something that's exciting, something that's going to give you a story, an anecdote, a shared laugh with a colleague or even a stranger. Pushing yourself beyond your limits is a win-win-win for everybody. It gets you a little uncomfortable. It changes the way that your brain responds, reacts, the neural pathways. This isn't just, pardon my French, horse shit. There is actual change happening in your brain when you go outside your comfort zone, when you question what you consider normal, typical, when you look to alter your habits. It's a valuable experience that I encourage everyone to really embrace. And while, a daily habitual ritual of trying something new may not be the best fit, it's a time commitment, it's an endurance commitment, there's a lot. But as much as you can try, as much as you can look at your life less seriously, the decisions that you're making on a day-to-day basis, you can play with them. Stretch yourself, stretch your comfort zone. The outcome is more than likely not as dire. The potential risk involved is really not as dire as your biology may make you feel. So get out there and push yourself and strive to have a life of daring and excitement and passion and fun.